The Vero Beach Recreation Commission meeting for Tuesday, December 8th is hereby called to order. If you do your roll call, please.
Ms. Pierce?
Here.
Ms. Shephers? Mrs. Dineno?
Present.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Holden?
Here.
Mrs. Burdick?
Here.
And Chairman Yam.
Here. Approval of minutes, November 10th, 2015. Everybody had a chance to review.
I'll make a move.
You move for approval, Greg? Good. Was there a second?
I'll sit.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 That's 3 out of. I didn't hear anybody else.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Need to hear ayes or noes.
Ayes.
All right. It's unanimous. Election of officers. Chairman.
I'd like to nominate and re-elect Mr. Yim as our chairman, since he's very involved with already several activities that we're doing.
I'll second that.
I would second
All right.
that one.
Anybody else? Okay. Then I accept. Thank you. I guess we have to vote. We do this as a voice vote. Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Vice Chair?
I'd like to nominate Bobby Burdick to continue on as vice chair.
Second.
Second.
Anybody else? This is going pretty good. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's pretty hard when you and I are the only ones nominated. All right. Next, citizen input. Anybody in the audience have something they'd like to say? Please come forward.
I know that we have representatives who were involved with the boat parade here that may want to do that instead of me.
All right.
Anybody want to step forward?
Come forward, please.
Few of them here.
And if you'll give your name, please.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Charlie Wilson. I have the least involvement in it. The 2 people who actually ran the place are right there. But I just wanted to say that the Vero Beach Chamber of Commerce is who I'm representing today, and we have with us the representatives from the Vero Beach Power Squadron. We were delighted to be asked, and we stepped in to help with the Vero Beach Boat Parade. We want to keep it going for many years to come. We've got some really great ideas about how to expand it next year, weather permitting. With or without hurricanes, we are still going to go on the boat parade. I do want to recognize that since this is a recreation committee, that the Power Squadron and the Vero Beach Chamber of Commerce and the city now have partnered in several events, which include we sponsored the 4th of July in the park. We have sponsored, and we're going to come before you again on the Veterans Parade. We would like to have a quarterly event coming up that we'll be announcing shortly. The boat parade fits into our December category, and then the Pirate Festival, which 14,000 of my closest friends all came out to the park, really enjoyed it and filled up some hotel rooms and helped us do some work here. I'd also like to say that the City Police Department and particularly the Recreation Department were just splendid on all of those events. The people at the marina helped us a great deal, of course, with the boat parade. We'd like to see it expand and continue, and next year we do have some great plans. Mary, would you like to? This is. Yeah,
I'm Mary Wallstein from the Vero Beach Power Squadron.
Mary, yeah.
Sorry about that. Last night I was elected to be the commander for next year. I will continue my involvement with the Chamber of Commerce, and we are willing to step up and partner again with the Chamber of Commerce to put on the boat parade next year.
What was the turnout? Because when I was there was like only 5 boats.
We actually had 9 boats that participated in the parade. I had about 5 cancellations Saturday afternoon due to the weather. I can't tell you how many people were there because I was in one of the larger boats out in the center of the ICW. You couldn't really see. The weather didn't help.
It was bad.
No, but you had a couple of spectacular boats, from what I saw.
Did you love that red, white, and blue one?
Yes.
That was something. Yeah, that was really spectacular.
Yeah, I don't know. We were at the yacht club, and it just kept turning. It would go like 50 feet and turn, 50 feet and turn. I'd just like to know who the two people were that were dancing on it, because they danced the whole way.
That boat was in the Fort Pierce Parade and the Stewart Parade last year, and I understand they were decorated in frozen, and they took first place in both of those parades. And, oh, by the way, they took first place in our parade.
Are they from here, or do you know where
They're from Fort Pierce.
Yeah.
Their name is Richard and Rita King.
It's quite a boat. I mean, decorations, I don't know if anybody else saw it, but
It was on the front page of the Press Journal on Saturday.
Yeah.
I just wonder how many people it took to decorate it.
For long.
Yeah, it was very nice. So if you can hold off the rain, I'm sure your attendance will be a lot higher.
Yes. Any other questions about the boat parade?
No, thank you. That's a good addition. It's
We
been
do
going
have
on
a
for
couple of
years.
things for next year. One is the Press Journal in error printed that we might, depending on what the weather, cancel the parade. We're going to do the parade. If it's a hurricane, we're going to do the parade. Whatever the parade. So that did not help us when we got some people that we did have almost 1,000 people there. Next year we'll have some food trucks to be able to feed some people. We'll have some better lighting. We're also going to be able to put some additional funds towards inviting more boats. We did find out that one of the keys to having boats participate is providing them with boat slips. And one of the things that the Recreation Department and that we're going to be looking at over the next little bit is where we can put boats. And there's only two places really in the city where you can put a boat of any size, and one's at the city marina, and one is where the power plant is. So when we're thinking about the power plant, that's the only deep water accessibility that the city of Vero Beach has. So we might want to be thinking about that when we're talking about changes in the plant. Thank
All
you.
right. Questions?
Whatever happens with the decision, we're going to meet on the 26th of next month again, will that affect where boats are to be kept, that area?
It could. Depending on what the disposition of that land is.
How long do they have to be tied up someplace?
Just overnight.
Overnight, yeah. I was thinking at the end of Royal Palm Point, that park, I mean, no?
Too shallow.
No?
That's too shallow, right?
Right at Royal Palm, yes, absolutely.
Okay, moving on. New business. I don't think we have any. Old business. Review and approval of the annual report. Everybody have a chance to look through it? I think there were a couple of changes when we came before here, like Rita.
Yeah. But what you have
Minor,
there should
yeah.
be everything.
Yeah, the one change I know of, it's on page 7. We changed the dialogue and the outcome of city power plant land, updating it to reflect, that we're doing 3 workshops. I thought we talked about some pictures too, didn't we? There weren't any changes.
There weren't any changes to the
wise.
pictures, no.
And then the addition of my letter of transmittal.
Oh, I asked that they put in something about Patty and Rob's junior staff program.
Yeah, that was listed, Rob suggested we listed on page 8, I believe it was, under the activities and events, the recreation programs and events. We added it in there, junior staff recognition. And the
Yeah, you're
Halloween
looking for a
parade.
picture though, weren't you?
Yeah, I didn't get one, and I didn't know if you want me to switch out a picture, I can do that with the,
Okay, yeah, we'll have to see if we've got the
if
picture.
you have one in that group, I can change one out from like the circus and put that in there instead.
Trying to find out who, I don't remember if that's Lori, maybe Lori took that picture. We'll see if we can't find that picture. I know we took pictures.
Okay, so with the option of changing a picture, do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
I
Second.
second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Actually, we should ask for public comment, too.
There's only one public here.
Yeah, but I'm going to give him a chance to speak. He doesn't know it. Recreation Directors Matters.
I'll let Patty talk about the drama, and you guys have already heard about the boat parade, so go ahead, Patty. Let them know about the drama.
You should have all received a flyer invitation. It's coming up December 20th, called Santa Who, 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. at the Vero Beach High School Performing Arts Center. And we hope you all can make it. It's going to be a great show.
How much are tickets?
$7 for adults, $6 for children and seniors. And it's an admission donation.
Do you have silent auction going this year?
Not at the moment, no. We do not.
Do you want some stuff?
Sure. Thank you.
Got a pot you don't want? Oh, yeah. I'll do it.
Okay, moving on. That's all you have?
Yes, that's it.
Chairman's Matters. You have in your packet here, there's a letter from Judy Orcutt, and there's the power plant land suggested usages. All right. This thing is picking up speed, as you can probably guess. And one of the problems, my challenge is keeping you informed because of the sunset rules as far as discussion. Because I'm getting involved in things, we can only have one member. So, for instance, let's begin by, if you look at the suggested usages, do you see anything that may have been missed? Because we're going to put this on a slide again, for the January 26th meeting. Okay.
Am I missing it, or did they not have the river walk on here?
Yeah, I think it's at one of the top listings again.
The Riverside type, or what?
Community Center with a river walk.
Oh, okay.
It's a second
Second item. yeah.
item.
Yeah.
And what else in here? I think we're going to pull some of these things where there's redundancy. Like the marina with a restaurant, and then down on the bottom it says restaurant. So, try to get rid of some of the redundancy in it. All right.
So is the next meeting going to be like the last one, just a bunch of people throwing stuff against the wall, or are we actually asking for people to come with some concrete ideas, not just...
This can be your first thought of still collecting just whatever people want to suggest. And then the next step, what you see down here is a suggestion to work with Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. And that's where the sunset rules get involved. Because we had a meeting trying to collect these ideas. And out of that meeting, of which Mr. O'Connor was attending, we came up with a discussion of how to proceed and questions that have been presented to me by council members that they want a recommendation that we have on how to proceed. And there are many different options. And one of them was this bottom one, the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. And I think, actually, Jim, when you want to come up and give a background on the Regional Planning Council?
Sure. And when Dick and I and Tom met, that was one of the things we talked about as to how do you get from collection of a lot of ideas from the community. And I think these meetings are very important in the fact that citizens are now having input. But somebody that can help guide this is the Regional Planning Council. They did a great job in the Arts District putting that together. They set up individual meetings and met with people. They had community input. They did slide presentations. There is a cost to it, but I think the emphasis that the council has put on this, they're willing to spend some money to proceed if the Regional Planning Council is something that that folks are comfortable with. You know, that we have other issues when we talk about regional planning and the concept, but with the job they did there, you could go out and get a private firm. It would be considerably more expensive. I'm not sure the end product would be any better than what you would get through the Regional Planning Council. So when you look at this and you're collecting the citizens' input, when you make that presentation, and Dick, I guess you and Tom will be actually the people making that presentation back to the council, what are the steps forward? I mean, you could come along and everybody vote and say we're going to do a community center with a river walk around it, and that would be it. You wouldn't need the Regional Planning Council. But if we want to expand upon those three partials, which I think is where we're trying to get to, then there's probably a next step in this and trying to be a little more organized. And I think, Sue, to answer your question, that's what the Regional Planning Council would come down to. They would be looking at the use of the land, talking about the densities, the impacts on the transportation system, because that has sort of a theme that has come about is that intersection's not one of our better intersections. And you put something down there that's a traffic generator, you could have some major impact coming across the 17th Street Bridge, 17th Street Bridge. So, the Regional Planning Council gives you that in depth as to what their information is on projects such as that. So, is that what you're looking for, Dick?
Yes. What's going to happen, staying in this chronology, is after the January 26th meeting, then we've been charged with, making a recommendation, both written as well as verbal. And after that January 26th meeting, Tom and I have suggested or discussed having a joint meeting of just the two commissions, not it's a public meeting, but just for the commissions to come up with agreement on a, suggested list. And then I just spoke with Tammy. Tammy has suggested that each commission write its own recommendation to go to council, on it. So we're going to have to meet. I can see I'm probably going to have to write the summary unless somebody else wants to, of everything that's been done, recommendations where we're going forward with it, and how it's going to work. Tom Giuliano, who's the chairman of the Marine Commission, and I are going to go down and meet with the Regional Planning, a representative of the Regional Planning Council, for the purpose of their telling us how they think we should proceed, which we can put into this recommendation. And as Jim suggested, we're going to put in there, there is the option of just going ahead and using private developers directly. But by using the Region Planning Council in all probability, they will come in and solicit developer input, for the suggestions. And my thinking is that when we have our meeting, is that number one, we'll have the summary, but secondly, we need to come out with like the top 5 recommendations or something like that the commission sees, on what should go in there, just to try to help them narrow it down some.
Also, another dimension is the Chamber of Commerce has a task force looking at this as well. And we're sort of looking at them as sort of the input that you're getting from the public meetings. Theirs is obviously not being held in the council chambers and looking for everybody and their brother to come in. But that type of input will also be part of the dynamics of what we're doing in this concept. And it's
Can I ask you a question about that? Because at the meeting, Penny mentioned a hotel, and but you had told us that the charter does prohibit those kind of things.
unless you have a referendum. The referendum could free the properties up if the citizens of the Vero Beach vote to open the property up to development. But as it stands right now, the restrictions of the charter, it's got to be recreation or artistic type of activities is all that can be. And then you can have ancillary uses. The chairman talked about a restaurant. You can't have 5 restaurants in one boat and call that a recreational activity. So
We can just scratch out right now a casino, because forget that.
the one thing that really
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And if we could just find one Indian group that, has
Yeah.
ownership there somewhere.
Ones from Okeechobee will come over here.
Somebody's going to go plant a bone overnight.
Well, maybe the Cherokees came down here from North Carolina, and they would like to be down here, during the season. It gets awful cold up in the mountains. And then on the off season, we could run the casino for them.
Yeah. But, the other thing you talk about scratching, you can scratch enterprise zone because that's no longer authorized. That's been
Correct.
And I don't think the recreation department needs to be in a wedding venue.
Well, we are now.
We are already. We're big in them.
Sure.
We do hundreds of them.
Oh,
We assist with hundreds of them.
with the small.
Our
rent
rental
the community
facilities,
center for.
community events,
Well, that's
And the
true.
Bethel
Big
Creek
in that.
House. Yeah.
more than you realize.
Yeah, actually, that was recommended to go over on the postal annex land, the woman that spoke.
I don't think so. I think she wanted that big, beautiful water view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, she'll have another opportunity.
So how do we do this, though? I mean, we've got a list of thousands of things here, and we're going to sit down with the Marine Commission and
Chamber of
We're-
Commerce.
the Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to talk about this, and we're going to come up with the things that we like.
Yeah, actually, we're going to sit down with the Marine Commission.
Yeah, I
So
said
far,
that.
it's not envisioned us sitting down with them.
So we're just going to eliminate the things that.
Well, we can
don't like-
prioritize.
Well, I think putting priorities one, but you eliminate those that are obviously that, in your opinion, would not fit in with the community dynamics or the
Right.
culture of the community, and so you would go through. I think what we're really doing is the critical part is that we're getting citizen input. We're taking no matter how different the suggestions are, and then you guys have to refine some of those as to what are really practical. And then hopefully if the Regional Planning Council comes in and they would tell you, let's say that for some reason we thought a casino was practical, and they come in and say, listen, it's going to generate 50,000 cars a week. You can't put that many cars in that intersection. And I'm just using that as an example of what I'm hoping their expertise will help us in the.
So are you going to give us some guidelines? Like you want it to be able to pay for itself? You don't want You don't want it to be a negative cash flow on this.
And Sue, the answer to the question is, from my perspective, it is. I have a couple of council members that say we shouldn't even talk about money. Money should not be a part of it. What we're doing is designing a land use that is for the community. I, for one, if we're going to really do this, then there should be some generation of revenue. But that being said, more than likely there is going to be generation. At least the postal annex is a marketable piece of ground that can be sold. Now the question is what's the highest and best use? You put it out on the market, the type of development that would go in there that could be proven to be the highest and best use may be not a use that we want. And that's where we become. The other is let's say we get down the line and sometime in August of this year, somebody says, well, let's just put in the referendum in November because it's cheaper that way for us. Put it on a referendum ballot to free up these pieces of ground for some type of commercial activity. And the pros and cons of that is, well, if you don't have an activity that you are proposing to go in there, how do you market that to the community? But at the same time, it only takes that we're going to build a hotel there, and Joe Smith's the hotel developer, and, oh, I don't want Joe Smith to make money off the city, and then you run into. See, it's a decision, I think, collectively that the council's looking for some guidance on that.
Part of the equation is going to be, for instance, the water treatment facility. How far are we from actually being able to do something with that property?
About $30 million. So it's a pretty far, and it would not be. The other part of this is going to be a transitional type of development. The key is that I don't think anything's going to happen. I mean, we're $9 million from the power plant being taken down and moving the substation somewhere else on that site. So it's still, there are big numbers that we're talking about, but at least one of the council members has said, if this is what the community wants, then we have to figure out a way and transition over time. For example, some of our debt goes off in the 2021 timeframe on the wastewater treatment plant. So it frees up a debt service that we might be able to take over and sort of build that into the existing rates. I'm not sure all that could work, but at least it would be something we would explore if we wanted to do that.
Well, one gentleman got up and said that there's no way we could connect those two pieces of property because the property under the bridge belongs to the state. Is that true?
Well, the state does lease agreements all the time. The state also does transportation facilities, which i.e. that connection would be, because you're not going to build a building under the bridge. So I think that's a workable where you would have it, and again, using the Riverwalk concept. I mean, obviously you can do that under the bridge, but we're working with DOT now that the the youth sailing, about storage in some of those areas under there, and the Department of Transportation doesn't seem to be totally negative on that concept. So I think they take on a variety of uses, which brings in the other dimension is the youth sailing is, they're out here planning as well. And so that'll be another one of those little challenges that we have as we proceed down that avenue.
How long will it be before we get a good estimate on the salvage value that we have on the power plant property?
We have one that's fairly good, but right now what we're doing is going through and identifying and taking an inventory of what can be taken out of there that will not have a negative effect on the integrity of the building, plus the substation itself. And we're doing that inventory now, but we think it's around that $800,000. It's a pretty good number.
Okay,
if you're going to take the whole thing down, there's probably maybe another $400,000 in there, maybe.
So we're not talking millions?
No, we're not talking about millions. So. And we were talking about it today, the 2 oil tanks, we want to take those down, but unfortunately we don't have very much oil left. There's about 100,000 gallons, and the market value that we heard today was like 60 cents a gallon, so you're not talking very much money, even in that. So it's going to cost us some money to take those tanks down, which we want to do. We want to take up, unfortunately, those gas lines are all above ground, so we'll take those out and then the cooling tower down. So that's going to be an investment we will put in there that, in the scheme of things, is going to be relatively inexpensive compared to the other movement.
Now, these things that are suggested, like these rentals for kayaks. Now, since it is designated recreation, can private enterprise be a part of that?
Yes, you can lease that out. Sure. Mm-hmm. It is recreation. It just has to be open to the public.
What's going on with the power plant? The other power plant.
The old one.
The old diesel plant?
Yeah.
We were supposed to have a hearing yesterday, which we didn't have because the judge excused himself because he knows the developer's wife and she's a judge now. And so that has put it off. We have filed a motion to dismiss their fraud claim. And so we got an opportunity to do that Friday. We don't know when the court will hear that and give us a rendering, but we've got to get that. We're hoping that there will be some court date set in January because there's a docket date set. I tell you though, Sue, when you get into this stuff, you better start when you're in the 20s, so it can be a retirement program.
Sure, I'm just wondering if that ever gets sold. I mean, there'll be some money.
We are in the process
There.
of selling that, but now remember that's an electric asset. All the expenses that have been used there have come out of the electric department for cleanup and all that. So that is an electric asset, but we are proceeding with putting that on the market and trying to sell that. And we emphasis on sale.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a question for the one member out there in the audience. If you don't mind, come up here, please. We'll try and fit you into this discussion. I assume you're a student where at Charter High School or somewhere?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
All right. So what are your thoughts on the use of this land?
Well, I mean,
Opportunity to put something out on that land. You know where the power plant is, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so if you got an opportunity to put stuff out on that land, what would you want to see out there from your own end?
Well, the kayak rental seems like a really good idea because
Okay.
it's right on the water.
All right. Then I'll ask you the question I asked. We had a young lady at the last meeting. I told her to look out 30 years, which you'll probably be, 48, somewhere in that area?
Yeah.
Then how would you see the use of that land? It's a difficult question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm really into stuff in the water, so I think I would still think the kayak would be.
All right, but you got a lot more land, so what else would you use it for?
Maybe like a park, too.
Like Riverside?
Yeah.
Okay. So just green space type,
Mm-hmm.
open park.
And I'd like a few like pavilions with tables and like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like a youth center?
Yeah.
You're leading them.
I was just going to say that.
He's
You're putting words in his mouth.
He's leading them.
Well, I have to interpret what he's saying.
Or maybe like a teen center for youth to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had one when I was growing up in Vero.
And what the closest we have is Leisure Square?
Yeah, now. We've had them before. Leisure Square was one of the reasons for Leisure Square initially.
Yeah, when it was a YMCA, you mean, or afterwards?
Activity Center.
Yeah.
Right, that's what it was.
And then it eventually progressed. And we had other facilities at a couple different times. We had different facilities that were teen centers, but unfortunately they would either be leased out or we didn't have enough money to generate to pay for them.
Mine's the adult ed center now.
Yeah, that's old school, but
That's
absolutely.
where I first got my
Absolutely.
first job at 15.
Yeah, we've had those in the past before. The old teen center, the old youth center, Leisure Square. We had out by the airport, which used to be the old Eagles Club. That used to be there. Now where they're now, I think they put the bank there, Seacoast or whatever. We had a teen center there.
So is there really any demand for a structure?
I would say yes and no. The key, though, is, if we're talking about will it be utilized, it can be with the right ideas and the right people putting in their ideas. Numbers will vary depending on what you do and utilize it for. Also, the big thing is costs. How do you generate the revenue or to offset those costs? And that's always a challenge, even with teens.
You just put video machines in and charge for them.
Well, again, I mean, as life progresses and things go on, they have plenty of opportunities to do things that don't cost money or get things and use them on their phones, their laptops, their computers, televisions, that are free, or they get an app and then it's free. So the challenge is you're always changing. Everything's always changing. The ideas for a teen center would be one where you have to have something where you have their input, and you have to make sure that it's something that can be progressive and also include all ages and try and mix it up so that you include the middle school as well as the high school and older, and you make sure that those two are separate, absolutely separate. And then you have to look at hours, and the other thing you want to look at is a lot of older teens do not want activities to happen until a certain time at night. So, I mean, those
After
are
9
also
o'clock.
part of the challenges, and those are always how it's been. But what they like to do and what they've been doing, those things change. Am I missing? I don't know. Am I missing much with that? With what I said? Not really.
Are you a skateboarder?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a discussion about putting a skateboard park behind Leisure Square. So,
It didn't pass?
It did.
Oh, I thought so.
did it
The
pass?
concept was.
I don't know if it's
That
gone to
was-
city council.
It hasn't gone.
Oh,
They're going to go in
yes.
January before City Council. The concept was approved here, and it's moving forward.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to come up and talk. We learned something, believe it or not. I mean, it's your future.
He wants to replay of you on TV later.
Thank you.
Little
Okay.
did he know he was going to get called up here from when he's doing his things.
No, you did a
They
good
never
job.
come back.
Very good job.
Okay, members' matters. We'll start down there with Chris and just work our way down there.
Nothing at this point, thank you.
I don't have anything either.
Greg?
Merry Christmas.
No,
Mhm.
we just, the idea that you brought up about the two commissions meeting, well, do you think that will be after the 26th?
Yes. Now, we'll meet jointly on the 26th for another public workshop. And then it's probably, we're thinking that to have both commissions together, just to have open discussion, because I don't think we want to do it that night,
Oh, no.
you know, after it's over. And probably this being the last one, you saw how full it was at the last one.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there were people out in the hall. They're telling me now. So I'm sure we will get probably an equal or greater response. So we, gives us the opportunity to discuss it later. Judy?
The parade I thought was wonderful. It was just a light sprinkle when I was there.
The Saturday parade.
They had a good crowd, and it went very smoothly. And they had a really good
Very good
number
turnout.
for the race as well. And the weather
Oh,
did
that's
pretty
right.
much
Yeah.
hold out. Yeah, just one or two showers blow through. But other than that, it went fine.
Blow through.
Yeah. The wind was blowing, is what I'm trying to say.
And Bobby, what do you have?
Not a thing.
All right, with that, I will adjourn the meeting. The next meeting, as we've discussed, our regular meeting is January 12th at 4 o'clock. Okay, we're adjourned.